Yesterday was intense. We showed you a lot of behind the scenes. If you guys are not getting the link in email at the end of every day with a recap registry or recap page that has all the videos of the boot camp, it's going to be up through the end of the weekend. Make sure you let us know in the chat. We'll make sure that you get it. It's the same link website every time. It's getting updated every day with the video that just got recorded for that day. So you'll be able to go through. There's going to be some people that can't make it. And so obviously you can watch it then and watch the replay, or you can go back and watch, pause, screenshot, do what you got to do the work, kind of go back if you need to. If you missed any of it, you can catch up, obviously. So let us know if you're not getting that. And everybody should have their workbook. We are going to be diving into getting a grip on your business finances and setting a profit goal. So in the first call that we had on Monday, we talked about the 4 parts of agency by design, which is purpose, it's processes. We talked about a little bit about purpose. We kind of set some ideas of what we want for our business, talked a little bit about that. We definitely dived into processes, how to create processes, what processes you need in your business, showed you how I store those processes as an example, what some of those look like, what tools and resources you can use to create those. And then productivity is the next one, where some of it you saw yesterday when we showed a little bit about Monday, and a lot of the questions that we've answered about how we kind of flow, really just making sure we have the analytics to show us how we can be more efficient. But in agency by design, we really dive into time blocking and calendar planning and project planning and road mapping, all the things that you need to do. And then lastly, the 4th piece is profit, right? So we are going to be talking about that today. Stacey's asking, the replays are only up through the weekend. Yes, they will be coming down actually on Monday at midnight. So Agency by Design is open for enrollment. For those of you that have any questions, you can absolutely book a call with me, a 30-minute call, just to see if it's a good fit, exactly the different components, all of that stuff. We've already had people join. I'm super excited. We start our calls and, kind of one-on-one and consulting and all that stuff live virtually on May 24th. Between the 15th and the 24th, you will be already having exercises and things that you need to be going through until then. And then those of you that join do get a 90-minute onboarding call with me where we really dive into your agency. So that is why the videos are only up until Monday. So make sure you're spending this weekend going through them if you've missed anything. And then again, if you want to book a call with me, my schedule's already filling up. So make sure you go in and check that out. I'll have Felisa also put the link in to book a call with me. Otherwise, if you don't feel like you need a call, that's okay. The sign up link is on our website, is pretty much everywhere. So just let us know. So let's dive into getting a grip on your business finances and setting a profit goal. So everybody should hopefully have the workbook. Again, if you need a link for that, also let us know. But on this page in your workbook, we're going to be talking about how to look at things from a different perspective. This all really started when I read the book Profit First. It's by an author named Mike McCulloch. Let us know in the chat, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or here, if you've read that book. And it really shifted my perspective on how I should be looking at my business. Now, the book has so much stuff. And the thing that I really took away from it was I've got to figure out the profit that I want to make first. Okay. So I want to think about what I want to make my take home as the CEO, as the person that's leading this company. Like, how much money do I want to make? And really the idea is most business owners, they think revenue minus expenses equals profit. We kind of wait to see what's left over on what we can take home or how the profit is growing. And really what he's trying to say is we've really got to create that profit goal first, and then figure out what revenue we need to make that profit after we take some of that. And then whatever's left over is actually what we should be using to run our business operations for expenses. Now, let's be real, that's not realistic right now for a lot of us. Some of us are making really good money and we could take home more money, but we're so afraid to do that because we feel like we need to leave money in the business or, for hard times, etc. And I totally understand. So I would love to open the conversation for that. And I will let you know what I do to help me with my own security for that. But we're going to be working through this formula. And what I want you to do is I want you to figure out how much money you are currently making in your business. Now, you can let us know in the chat if you feel comfortable and brave enough. This should be a safe space for you. Only people in Zoom can see your comments. So it's not going to the whole entire world, but if you want to have a conversation about it, you feel comfortable, totally fine. Figure out what your current monthly income is that you are taking home. And I want you to fill that out in your workbook. So this is your take home. Let me know if you have any questions about how you should be calculating that or what you should be doing. Now, as I'm talking through this, make sure you're writing that down. Some of us are taking home a salary, right, on a monthly basis. And some of us are taking member draws or owner draws, whatever you want to call it, or capital distributions on top of a salary or on top of what we might be making monthly. Or maybe you are just taking members draws every single month. It depends on if you're set up as an LLC or an S Corp. I am not a business attorney. I am not going to tell you anything about accounting or CPA stuff or taxes or anything like that. I'm just wanting to find out what it is to help you, what your current monthly take home is. So for me, I have a certain amount of money I want to take home every single month. And I have a portion of that I get through a salary, like a W-2 employee, because I am an S Corp. And then anything above that salary, I will monthly set up a members draw that comes out so that I can fulfill my target monthly income that I want to make from this business. Now, some months we make a lot more money. And so I might take some more if I have it, or if I need it, or I can also take a members draw at the end of the year or at the end of every quarter to kind of make up what I want to make for the entire year. But to keep things simple, I really want you to figure out what your monthly income is that you're making now. And then I want you to tell me what ideally you would like to be making. So what's that target monthly income that you want to take home as the business owner, so that we can figure out where you're at and where you want to go and kind of what that gap is. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute to do that. Let me know in the chat when you've got it. And if anybody is willing to let us know, I'd love to hear some feedback. Amanda says, I haven't been taking any type of income home. I don't feel comfortable until I have 40,000 saved from business income. I use money from rental property as a part-time job. I'd like to take home about 5,000 to 6,000 eventually. And I opened my agency in September 2022. So yes, you're fairly new. Totally understand that. Depending on where you are in your journey, it's going to be different for everyone. So thank you, Amanda, for being brave enough to talk about that. So when it comes to this, I agree with Amanda, that there's going to be a certain amount of money that you're going to want to keep in the bank just for your own security, right? To make sure you can cover a couple months of expenses, operations, etc., so that if you do have a shitty month, right, you can at least have a cushion there. Okay. So for me, it's 90 days. I have 90 days of what my average, actually, let me rephrase that. I have 90 days of what my maximum operating costs typically are. So let's just say if I look at 2022, or maybe the last 6 months, what was the most I spent in my business, and kind of use that figure, because I want to exaggerate what my expenses are per month so that I still have that cushion if I need it. And so for me, it's 90 days. I always make sure I have at least 90 days, 3 months of maximum operating expenses times 3 for a month in the bank account. So for some of you, that might mean I'm not going to take profit, or I'm not going to take extra profit above leaving that amount in my bank account. And it could be different for everybody. Okay, so that just helps me. That's my own personal kind of figure and my own calculation of what makes me feel comfortable. Now, luckily, we are in the business of residual income. And so hopefully, every single month you're getting these commissions, you're getting this income, and it just continues growing month after month, year after year. So, okay. But yes, Amanda, that's great. You figured out your 5,000 to 6,000. How much do you already have saved in your business account compared to like the 40,000 that you want? Jamie says, taking home 6K, would love to take 10. So you have about a $4,000 gap there. Okay, great. Bill says 5,500 right now, want to take home 12. Great. CC, should it be consistent income or the last month? So it would be whatever income you want to continue doing what you're doing, to stay in this business, right? What you kind of want for a good life, maybe not the yachts and the jet planes, okay? But be realistic on what it is that you've kind of dreamed about taking home every month in your business. It could be far from where you are right now, but we'd still like to know and have you set that target income goal. So it should be a monthly consistent income goal. Amanda's got 23,000 saved currently. Okay, amazing. Good for you. Okay, CC 5,000 now, want to take home 25,000 a month. Great. Don't be afraid of the gap that you've got. It's totally okay. That is not something you should be afraid of. That's something that should get you excited, and it's something that should motivate you to keep moving forward so that you can chip away at that gap and get closer and closer. A lot of things I tell to clients too is that, you know, maybe you're not at $25,000 a month, but every month you get closer, you're still enjoying that extra income that you're getting, right? It's not like, oh, well, I'm miserable until I get to 25. No, you're still going to be happy at 18,000 a month for now, but we want to keep pushing and want to keep chipping away at what that is going to look like for your business at a $25,000 mark, at a $5,000 mark, the $10,000 mark. Okay, awesome. Kelly, 25K a month is on my vision board. I average about 8,000 recently. And I'm happy when I was happy when I got to 8. Yep, exactly. Awesome. Okay. So you can continue kind of working on this as we're just going through it. List what would need to happen for you to be able to reach your income goals. What are some things, as you're kind of looking at this gap, that you believe, because honestly, you all have a lot of knowledge. Sometimes you just have to trust yourself. But what kind of things need to happen in your business in order for you to reach those income goals? What is the first thing that you're kind of listing that you can start working on or chipping away at so that you can get to your desired income goals? So for us, a couple of the first things that we had to do was, oh, I feel like a broken record here, but we started tracking our money, the money that was coming in and the money that was going out. And as I started tracking my income and expenses, I was really able to see where the income was coming from, what income was the most profitable. So even looking at what clients are we writing? Are they taking a lot of our time? Are we having to spend a lot of resources and payroll and employees to manage and service these clients? Was it certain types of business that we were writing that were more profitable? Maybe we were spending 2 weeks quoting somebody, but they were very high premium, and that was less time and effort and frustration and energy than trying to write, 30 cars to make up the same premium. Was it the lines of business we were writing? All of those different things. Okay, so tracking that will help you know that. And then the other part was expenses, figuring out, do we really need all the stuff we're paying for? What is absolutely necessary and what is not necessary? Are there cheaper versions of things we could get? Or can we pay in full and save some money for the year if we know we're going to use this service, let's say? What are some things we could do to shift some of these things around? And then your biggest expense is always going to be payroll. Some of you that are just kind of starting out, maybe have one employee and maybe your rent's a little more expensive, right? I am 12 years in. 12 years in, at the beginning of this year, I said, okay, how do I continue increasing this profit margin? How do I take more money home? How do I invest more money in marketing? How do I invest more money in my team and get them to, we have a new goal to get every single person on our team, besides the VAs right now, to the 100K club, meaning they're making $100,000 a year consistently. I have team members that have made that money. It hasn't been necessarily consistently. I have team members that have made $20,000 in 1 month in commission, and they've made $2,000 a month in commission, right? It just kind of depends. But if we get to a certain book size, I want to be able to kind of guarantee that money for them. So I started thinking about how can we continue to reduce some of these expenses? And yes, as a business owner, there are a lot of expenses, but honestly, we maybe have 10 to 12 things we pay for on a monthly basis. I am very much someone who tries to be lean. Even though we have the money, that doesn't mean suddenly we're just going to stop trying to be smart with our money. And the way that I got smart with my money was tracking it. I was very, very diligent. And to this day, I still do pen to paper tracking because for me, the act of writing down things helps me focus on what it is that I spent my money on. And if I can make those changes quickly and in real time moving forward. So one of the things we talked about too, when it came to tracking, was how some of our agent management systems, or even I think I mentioned the fact that, like, maybe your CPA sends you a quarterly profit and loss sheet or a balance sheet, and you're kind of looking backwards. But when you're tracking in real time, you're going to be able to make decisions before the month's over or before the next month comes around to see if you can make some shifts and changes in that. So for me, that has been the biggest game changer. I always had my current monthly income coming in for our current monthly revenue coming in for our business, which I like to do the worst month. So when it comes to revenue, I go with the worst number so that anything extra is just, whip topping. And then when it comes to expenses, I go with the worst month of expenses so that I'm exaggerating. I want to be conservative when I'm looking at those two figures. Because at the end of the day, we talked about sales is what we do and retention is what we do. But in order for our business to be successful and continue growing that profit margin and for us to make more money, because that's why we're doing this, we have to look at the money coming in and the money going out all the time and try to keep balancing that and try to keep getting the money to go up and the expenses to go down. So at the beginning of this year, I said, okay, well, one of our other biggest expenses besides payroll, which there's only so much you can do in payroll sometimes, is we're spending a lot of money on our location, on our office space, on our brick and mortar. And so I started looking into what it would take for us to go fully remote, where I wouldn't have to pay this expense. And we started working on seeing how we could do that. And with carriers and certain things, we were given permission to be able to do that. A lot of things have changed since COVID. I think a lot of aggregators and clusters and carriers are allowing less and less brick and mortar. And there's certain things you do have to qualify for, but it's not something I ever thought we would do. However, we leased out the building that we purchased for us to use as insurance, because back when we knew we were going to be in this long term, I decided to purchase a commercial building so that I was at least paying myself the rent and we could deduct it and have an asset, etc. But now we've leased out the entire building. They're actually moving in on the 1st of June and we are going to be moving out. That just saved me almost $4,000 a month. It's not costing me more. It's saving me that money. And guess what? Guess who gets to take that money home, or guess where I get to invest that money, right? Heather was asking, do you provide leads to your team or do they have to bring in their own? We're going to talk about some of that in just a second when we move on to some more questions. So if I don't answer, please remind me. Cece says she needs more appointments. Okay, awesome. I would also, again, ask you to dive deeper into the more appointments. What type of appointments do you need? How many do you need a day? How many do you need a week for you to make sure you're bringing in the revenue that you need to hit your goal? With that, you'd want to know your conversion rate and how well these appointments are going. Yesterday, I had a call with someone who's interested in agency by design. We were having our 30-minute call and we were talking about, how many leads they have and are they tracking their closing rate? So how many leads you're getting, how many of them are getting quoted, how many of them are being sold. We looked at the workflow yesterday and quoted, sold, not sold, right? And then once they're sold, what does that look like? Yesterday, I showed you an example of where it showed we keep track of the leads and how many are sold. And so we can quickly see in that tracking system in Monday that it was a 50% closing ratio. So we know that if we increase leads and we keep our closing ratio the same, we should still be able to convert 50% of the leads that are coming in. Okay, awesome. So we're going to move on and we're going to ask ourselves some more questions. I'm going to take a sip of water. Give me a sec. It's getting super dry in Vegas, so I'm like drinking water all day long. Okay, I know that not everybody is in the same product line, so this is going to, again, be different for each of you, but ask yourself either how many clients, how many accounts, or how big of a book of business do you need to make this type of income? So one of the things that I do is I track premium more than I track policies. That shifted big time when I went from captive to independent, because in the captive world, there are different bonuses and different incentives that you have to get policies on the books. I know Allstate is like a big proponent of that, and it's not always about premium. But at the end of the day, what I learned was it doesn't matter how many clients you have. It doesn't matter how many policies each client has. Obviously, we want to maximize how much we can get from each household. However, it's all about premium. We get paid on premium. That is where our commission comes in. And so I started tracking the premium in the book of business every single month, year over year, so I can continue to see the growth. And I know right now to $100,000 to maybe $300,000 exactly where our book of business premium is. Because in the P&C world, at least, I can multiply and times that by 10%, which is a lower bracket for what commission usually is, or maybe it's sometimes average for people depending on what they qualify for with the carriers, etc. But 10% is an easy number for us to do math on, and 10% is usually lower. So I know, again, I'm trying to be conservative, and maybe I get 15% on some, maybe I get 20% on some, right? It just kind of depends. So anything above that is, again, going to be extra. And so the other thing is a lot of carriers sometimes give you more on new business, and then when they renew, it's less. So for me, 10% is just an easy way to do math. So I look at my book of business, where it's at, I multiply it by 10%, and I can figure out approximately how much money we're going to get annually in revenue on that book of business. And through that, I can see with my expenses how I can get to this profit goal. And as we're trying to work on this 100K club with my team, I know how much more it's going to cost me from what they're getting paid now to what it's going to take to get to 100K and where our book of business needs to be. First thing I do, though, is I guarantee that I'm making the money I want to make. Okay. Cece's asking why use 10%. Cece, I think you are either in life or health. So it's different, right? In the P&C world, it's going to be completely different. So with life, you guys don't get very much on residual and renewals, unfortunately. I would not even consider that income. That should just be extra. What is your commission split right now on life policies that you're writing? Anywhere from 80 to 120% I've seen. So it just depends on what it is. So at that point, you have to continue producing every single month, every single year, right? You can't kind of let your foot off the gas when you get to a certain size of book of business, which, to be honest with you, is why I left life. But you guys make bank on every single policy you close on the front end, right? So different structure, not good or bad. But I really wanted to build a book of business that one day I didn't have to work as hard to maintain, and we were kind of just there. So for you, you're going to look at the premium you want to sell times 95%, which should be your annual revenue. Okay. Let me know if that makes sense. So what size book of business do we need? Let us know in the chat. Do you know what it is? And if you're not sure, let me know and we can go over an equation. All you got to do is take the total book size, times it by 10. Okay, Jamie, 12 million in premium. Awesome. So 12 million in premium, you said, if I'm going back really quick, you'd like to take 10 home. How big is your book right now? So let's just say Jamie said she wants to take $10,000 home a month as profit. Okay. She's got 5.5 million now with 6 employees, and she's taking home $6,000 a month. I am so excited, FYI, got the email today that you joined Agency by Design, Jamie, so I'm excited to dive in. But I guarantee you there's some money there that we can get you probably to 10K within the next 2 months. So I'm pretty sure I can help you do that, because 5.5 million is not a small book. And I can't wait to dive in to hopefully help you get to that income goal at least as soon as possible. But at 12 million, let's say, right, you're making $1.2 million at 10%. And so that's a lot of money you probably can take home. I hope you'll be able to take home a lot more than $10,000 a month. Okay. Okay. CC saying you'll need about 30,000 in premium monthly if you did it right. Okay, cool. At 95%, depending on what your expenses are to operate your business, that sounds fairly close. Okay. Is this helping you guys? Let me know in the chat. How are you feeling with just asking yourself these questions? Jamie, does 12 million sound super overwhelming? CC, 30K a month. Amanda says I need 720,000 annual premium or 60K a month and currently have 354K in annual premium. Okay, perfect. So approximately double, let's say. Maybe a little more. Okay, awesome. Okay, CC, good. See, this is why we're asking these questions. He said, wait a second, you're right. I probably need a little bit more because I need to add expenses. So cool, great. This is getting you guys thinking about these things, looking farther than you've probably been looking typically because you're just going month to month. For those guys out there, I'm sorry to use this reference, but it is what it is. I call it the menstrual cycle of insurance because every single month we start all over, right? You have different weeks of your cycle. And in the first week, it's like, you've got your energy back, a new month is starting, you are trying to hit the ground running, you're excited about starting fresh, kind of forgetting about what happened last month and trying to hit your goal for this month. It resets. The second week, you've maybe made some sales your first week, you're like, oh, we got a couple more weeks to go, and you might slow down a bit. Third week, you're like, oh crap, I better start ramping up, you're doing a little bit more activity. And last week, it's really crazy because a lot of times we end up doing more business in the last couple of days of the month than we did the entire month. And that's because when there is a deadline, we somehow get more productive. We somehow pull things out of our hats, right? And so that's kind of the cycle. And then the first of the month comes again and we're starting all over. So apologize for the analogy, but honestly, that's what it's like, right? So us looking far and breaking it back down and trying to figure out what we need to do on a monthly basis is really what we need to do is focus on the every single day, week by week, month by month, quarter by quarter, and then the year by year. That's how we work, but we've got to start planning ahead to kind of where we want to go. For some of you, that might mean you can get there in the next year, in the next couple months. Some of you, that means it might take you 10 years to get there. But if you don't have that target income, what are you working towards? Okay. I took way too long because I was like, I just want to get to as much premium as possible, as fast as possible. And there was no actual number. There was nothing tangible for me to measure and track to see how well I'm doing or not doing. I had a call with somebody, I think it was like a month ago. They're planning to leave captive, go independent. And when I really broke the numbers down and said, it's going to take you 5 years to get to where you want to go at the rate that you're going now, they were bummed. And I hated to be kind of the person that gave them that slap of reality, but they were able to make better decisions because they could plan out and project what that was going to look like. Okay. Any questions on this so far? Lisa, I'm sure you're watching Facebook, but let me know if there's any questions. So funny little story before we dive into the next question. I let you know that I took my 5-year-old out of daycare. She's almost 5. And she can occupy herself for hours. Our home is safe for her to kind of be where she's at. However, yesterday after the call, okay, so it wasn't even while we were on the call, she said she was going to go play upstairs in her room, which she does all the time. I went upstairs because we had to go somewhere and make sure she was dressed and, you know, what I had to do to take care of her. And suddenly she walks up and this entire half of her head is now cut into a bob on her shoulder. And the rest of her hair over here is long and beautiful with her baby curls and that natural highlighted ombre look. I wanted to die. She's definitely my last baby, unless God or the universe has other plans. And I was waiting so long to cut her hair and it was down to her butt and I cried. I cried a lot. It was horrible. So I ended up washing her hair, getting it all as straight as I could, and I cut it to just match and it's just a mess. And so my daughter is in the living room. I can kind of hear her. I bet you guys can't hear her, but hoping she doesn't do this again. Felisa, did I not tell you? I can't even remember who I cried to. Yeah, it was bad. But I took all the hair I possibly could and like bundled it up in a little baggie so mommy gets to keep it. I guess it's like a little token. So we'll see if she walks in or not. But yeah, she's got a cute little do now. And it's funny, as we were driving to the appointment we had to go to, she's in the back seat and she was upset at first because she realized what she did. And then she was like, Mommy, I feel like a new person. It's like she was going through like midlife toddler crisis and needed a new do. I don't know, to match her personality or identity at that moment. So it is what it is, but I thought it was pretty funny to share. Okay, next question. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so what are your average months in sales right now? So again, we're kind of going to do that current and target. What are you selling a month right now? What are you selling on average, premium, or whatever that looks like for whatever line of business you're in per sale? So what am I asking here? I want to know how much you're selling as an agency total per month in sales in premium, not accounts, anything like that. I want to know premium. And then with each account you're selling, what is that average premium? So for us, in the beginning, it was like $30,000 a month. And the way we figured out what we were doing per sale, we looked at the average auto premium, average home premium in our area, or what we were selling. So I'm going to go P&C really quick, and I will talk a little bit about life, health, and stuff like that. So for P&C, our average auto right now is probably about $1,500 a year, and our home is probably about $1,100 a year. Okay. So why I want you to figure this out is because when you say, okay, I need to get to this size book, we want to break that down per year, what that kind of looks like. We want to break it down per month. And if you say per month, I need to do 30,000 in sales, well, then how many autos, how many homes on average do you need? Now, we can't always control how many autos we write, how many homes we write, umbrellas, all the other policies we can do, but you can have an idea of, okay, well, if we're predominantly auto, we're predominantly home, or we tend to get these leads, how many of these do we need to close per month? And when you know your closing ratio, you can say, okay, if our closing ratio is at 50% and we need to close 10 autos, then we need 20 leads. Do you see how we're breaking this down? Yes, I know it's not always reality and things are not going to go the way we plan them to go, but having these figures, talking to your team about it, then going and doing the marketing you need, then keeping the closing ratio as close to the same or better as possible, you can start predicting, you can start putting these numbers into place, and they will start bringing you results. Makes sense. Let me know if I lost you guys. Okay, so let me know what you guys, okay, Amanda, perfect. Let's use you as an example. $60,000 a month is kind of what you're saying you are currently selling or what you need to sell. So at $60,000 a month, how would that premium amount be composed of? Auto, home, umbrella, personal articles, policy, boats, RVs, or, any other policies that we can write on people. What would that compose of? What do you want it to be composed of? Would you rather be more home heavy? I have people who'd rather be more auto heavy. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can also have a well balance of all of them. But what would that 60K break down to? And if you guys want, I've done this many times. I wouldn't say it's super accurate. You should know what your market is like right now and what your average auto or home is looking like. But you can also Google it. I've Googled average auto premium in Kansas. And yes, there's different cities and things that might change the premium, but you can get an idea. This is just to kind of get an idea, okay? Amanda's asking, as a new business, what would be a conservative average retention rate? So I would say with retention rate, I hate comparing myself to others, but yes, I understand you kind of want like, hey, am I even doing what I need to be doing? it's going to depend where your leads are coming from. So for us, our leads are coming from referrals. The conversion rate for us from lead to closed business is high. It's about 50 to 60%. And those people tend to stick better. They're business owners, so they're more likely to pay their premiums than personal lines. And so I think our retention rate needs to be higher if we're being conservative than necessarily lower. If you're doing internet leads, or you're doing more non-standard auto, or if you, right, are auto heavy, you might have 80%, 75%. I've been there, and I've seen people also who have 30 employees selling $500,000 a month in premium. So they're making commission, they have very high expenses, but their retention rate is 75%. They're going to be having to replenish their book of business forever if they continue that way, right? And the bigger your book is and the lower your retention is, or let's just say you're canceling, I like to look at cancellation rate a little bit more than retention rate. I mean, it ends up being the same thing, but you're looking at the opposite of the number. So for us, we cancel at about 12, no, not 12%, maybe like 10%. Okay. So if 10% of our business, let's say we have a $5 million book, 10% of our business walks out of our agency every single year on average. That's $500,000 a year we'd have to sell just to maintain the 5 million. That makes sense? So as we get bigger, let's say we get to 750,000, then we have to, we get to a book of 7.5 million. That's about $750,000 in revenue. That means 75,000 in revenue walks out the door. We got to replenish that $75,000 in revenue. Okay. So the bigger you get, the worse your retention is, the more you're going to have to sell just to maintain. Okay. Brianna says around 60,000 in premium sold, lots of auto, some home, average policy 6 months is anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000. Perfect. Right. You've got the number 1,500, 2,000. We could easily calculate how many autos you need to get to the goal that you need per month. Again, you might sell more, you might sell less. You might have all of them be at 22,000 or more. You might have all of them be on the lower end, or maybe you can start multi-lining, making sure you get the home, all that stuff. I mean, there's so much we can talk about, which I know me and you are going to dive deeper into that, but okay, good. You guys are thinking about this. Okay. And then obviously I talked a little bit to Amanda and you guys just now about retention rate, but you also need to know what your retention rate, because of what I explained, the bigger you get, the more you're going to have to work to maintain that. Okay. So next question. What are your expenses? What are your expected expenses as you grow? So Jamie, you said 12 million, right? Are you going to need some more employees? You might be able to still keep your 6. I know you're going to think I'm crazy. What are some expenses that you have when you want to grow to where you want to go? What are some things? Do you need a bigger location? Do you maybe need more computers, more software users? Do you need to spend some more money on retention marketing or building that relationship and keeping people? What kind of things do you think you're going to have as expenses? So let's like rewind just a little bit before we answer this question. What are your monthly expenses right now in your business? And if you can give it to me within a couple $100, I'm going to be very proud of you. If you can't, it's okay. I'm not disappointed. It's actually pretty typical that not everybody knows that, because like I said, we as business owners are so focused on just making sales that we don't spend enough time working on our money. 25,000 ballpark a month. Okay, perfect. Does anybody know what their monthly expenses are right now? Monthly expenses are about 720, no office, work remotely, at home. Perfect, Amanda, good. Total, Heather, payroll or just overhead, so it would be total. So 14,000 payroll and about 2,500. Okay, so about 16,500. Awesome. Okay, so why is this important? Let's kind of go back a little bit. At the beginning of this year, I said, how much money do I want to grow? I want to grow by, I'm going to throw out some example, okay? Because I want to make it like relatable to some point. I want to grow by $1 million. And I think we used this equation earlier. If I want to grow by $1 million in premium at 10%, that's about $100,000 in revenue we would grow. I know I'm losing this much. So I'm going to add this much to what my sales need to be, so that when we hit our sales goal, we reduce what we've lost. We still have the amount of money we need month after month to hit our 1 million in growth and 100,000 in revenue. Okay. Now, 100,000 in revenue. Right now, our expenses have not increased. If anything, they're decreasing, which is great. It's not always the case. But then I can say, with that 100,000 in revenue, are there more expenses? And if so, reduce. And then I can start saying, how much more can I take home? There's a reason I made the goal that I made. I want to take home more money and I want to invest in certain things. So before the year even started, when I was setting my goal for the next year, I took those things into consideration so that when we achieved it and we put the plan in place, and when we were having meetings and when I'm discussing it with my team and when I need to incentivize them, we all knew where we were going, that purpose piece, the intention. Why are we doing this? Where are we going? Right? So when we put those processes and those goals and all those things in place, now they know why they're doing what they're doing and what it is our common goal is and how it also benefits them. So it's so important to know what your guys' expenses are. Now, Amanda's saying not including marketing and recruiting expenses. Okay. I would include those. Your marketing and recruiting expenses may not be the same every single month. So what I've also done in the past, you can look at your profit and loss sheet if it's accurate. If you're not doing bookkeeping, it may not be exact. That's okay. But let's just say you spend $6,000 on marketing for the year. And maybe it was 1,000 here, 2,000 there, another 1,000 somewhere else. It wasn't consistent. I would just take your 6,000 a year in marketing and divide it by 12 and just say you need about a $500 budget a month. And then I would include that in my monthly expenses. Okay. When I get a fat check on a month that we just have a lot of renewals and we've sold a lot, and I know that my expenses are, I don't know, Bill said 26,000 a month, then I can take that amount, reduce what the expenses were, and yes, I have that profit. I want to be able to make sure that I'm getting my target monthly income no matter what, which is the profit first idea, right? When we went back here, I want to make sure that's done first as much as possible and leave expenses for the end. So if you're not here yet, obviously check expenses, check how you can increase revenue. But anything above that, the 26,000 in expenses that Bill's talking about that he says, you have cushion right now. And the way you know what your cushion is knowing what expenses are going to be coming out or what you need. So if you want to pull some money, you know how much you can pull. And if you don't know what your average monthly expenses are, then that's going to be really hard to feel comfortable taking that money out or knowing how much to take out or not leaving your bank account lower than it needs to be, etc. So all of these things are really super important to figure out. Okay, so let's just take a moment and strategize. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to think about what is the next step to figure out where your gap is, right? We kind of did figure that out. If you haven't figured it out yet, I want you to work on it and to work to make a plan to fill into the achievement that you want to get to your profit goal. So let's just make a commitment right now. What is one thing you can do to start getting on the path to increasing your chances to getting to your target monthly profit income goal for you? What do you need to do? What is one thing you can make a commitment on? Bill says reducing expenses on systems that we use. Yeah, when's the last time you reevaluated it? I mean, as insurance owners, I feel like this is like one of the worst advice because we don't want other people to hear this. Like, recession's coming, check your auto insurance expense. But for us as business owners, right, we should be also diligent in checking rates, what we're paying for. The call I had yesterday, they were like, we have so much technology we're paying for. I don't even know how it all works together. Some of this technology has been in place for years. We may not even be utilizing it, right? So kind of taking a look at what are your expenses, list them out, look at them. It is as simple as going to your bank account online and looking from the first of, let's do April, 1st of April through the 30th of April. What came out of your bank account? How much money was it? What were the categories? You can put them into marketing, sales, service, and administrative. What are these departments costing you? Right? Bill says, stay out of the vendor hall. Yeah, I love that. Vendor hall is the epitome of shiny object syndrome. If there was ever an example of one, right? Everybody has the next solution to the thing. Amy says, better tracking of leads and profitability leads. Yes. Good. Kelly says, start tracking retention and cancellations. Makes total sense. I know I'm letting money walk out the door. Awesome. CC, my type of lead conversion and buy more of that type of lead. Yes. Awesome. Make sure you're tracking too. Amanda says, I have a list of all of my monthly and annual subscriptions. They try to get you to pay annually, so you forget it by the time it renews. Yeah. And even if you pay monthly, they're charging you every single month, like you forget about it. But as I track my money, I look at my bank account, I'm writing these things down. Every time the subscription is written down on my page, I'm like, damn it, I didn't cancel it. Or what am I paying this for? That's when I spend time with my money. So we go through so much of this portion in Agency by Design, where I teach you how to create a money routine. And I have a money routine that I do. It's called Money Mondays. Every Monday, same time, same place, same amount of time, and it's scheduled in my calendar. And I know at this time every Monday, I am sitting down and I'm doing my tracking. I'm looking where our money is going. I'm looking to see our profitability. I'm checking where we're at. In the beginning, I had to do this every single day because I was not in tune with my money. And honestly, I could even go an entire month and I would still be able to go back and do what I need to do because I'm on top of it. But I would say if you're just starting out and you know that this is a weakness of yours or an area of focus you aren't focusing on, do it daily if you need to, and then you can do weekly. And then if you want to go monthly, that's fine. Do not go an entire quarter and wait for your CPA to send you some reports and then try to analyze the information that's on your profit and loss, because honestly, they categorize things funky sometimes. And really that's more to just be able to show the IRS what you're spending your money on, right? Your personal tracking should be to figure out what is happening in your business. Where's the money going? How is it being invested? Is the return on investment as good as it could possibly be? And is there money there that you can hit your target income goals with? Okay, so today we've been talking about money. We've been talking about how to get a better grip on it, the questions you should be asking yourself, and how to create that profit goal for yourself and your agency and what that's going to look like. So let me know if there's any questions. If anybody wants to unmute and chat it out and maybe ask some questions that specifically pertains to them, I am here at least for the next 5 to 10 minutes. So use this time if you have it. Tomorrow, we are going to be kind of taking a little quiz. We did this in the last boot camp. So if you were here in the last boot camp, you might have done this already, and maybe your results are better than they were before, I hope, because it is pretty eye-opening. And then, if you're an alumni of Agency by Design, you've done this. And also, each of the components of this kind of quiz, audit, what have you, is all included in Agency by Design. We go through every single piece. And every single piece to me is going to be a crucial part of why we are as successful as we are and why a lot of our clients find success. And also, we implement a lot of these things in other businesses that we've made millions in. So if you have the workbook, which you should, you can go through and look at the questions. You can go through and maybe do this yourself, but the instructions for how to do this right are a little bit more complicated, which is why I like doing it live with you. So don't fill it out. If you haven't yet, wait for tomorrow. If you've already filled it out, hopefully you filled it out right, but we will talk about what those results look like and how to use the information that you're understanding and bringing to awareness to take the next steps in your agency and your business so that you can leave this boot camp with tactical things that you should be doing, right? Even if you take one action step from this entire week, because you've come here and you've been on live and you're doing this work. And if you just leave with all of this knowledge and you don't put into action, it was a total waste of your time. This is where I get passionate and where my love shoves come in. Okay. Don't show up live every single day and not do anything after this week. You've gotten a lot of things brought into your awareness. We've talked a lot about things you should be focusing on that are truly the important things in business and in our industry that too many agency owners are not focused on and not doing. We're getting distracted. We're seeing a bunch of other things that we feel like might be band-aids or quick fixes. We are just seeing a bunch of people brag about all the things that they're doing. We are seeing a lot of sales and marketing conversation, but we're not seeing enough conversation about how to really be profitable, how to really recruit and build a rock star team, how to do more with less, how to really build your agency by design and make it right for you, because what's right for you and what's right for somebody else in this group or anywhere else in our industry is not going to be the same thing. I promise you. And it's not just about making money. It's about getting this profit goal so that you can build the life that you want. Some of you, that means not working a lot of hours. Some of you, that means I don't mind working. I like doing what I'm doing, but I want to make more money to leave a legacy, to invest in other things, to diversify my income, to scale, to be bigger, to maybe move and live somewhere else, to maybe take care of your parents or pay for your kids' college or whatever is important to you. Maybe you want to remodel your home. I don't know, right? Maybe you want to upgrade your lifestyle a bit. Maybe you want to invest in some help in your home so that you're not so stressed out as a parent and get some help. Maybe it's having that extra savings cushion or whatever that looks like. It's going to take money to build a life that we want, right? But at the end of the day, what we really want, it's not money. It's so much deeper than that. It's what money can help us create and what money can help us build in our life. And that is different for every single one of us. Okay, so if we don't have any questions, we are good for today. Do not forget to take your screenshots. Do not forget to tag us, post us. We have some people that are high on the leaderboard right now. Felisa's paying attention. So she's seeing who's on camera. She's seeing who's coming every day. She's seeing who's tagging us and doing their action work. So just keep that up. I know it's towards the end and we start losing momentum. You'll see less and less people show up at the boot camp. That's okay. And again, if you don't get the replay or anything and you have other questions, you can email me anytime. You can DM me on any of the platforms. I am here to chat it out and talk to you. I've already been talking to a few of you. So, all right, tomorrow we are ending this with a bang and I will see you then. Bye, everyone.